Okay, we'll call the meeting of the Board of Adjustment to order. Roll call, Ken Lister, no. Ken Anderson. Here. Franklin Hahn.
Here.
Again, here. New one. Here, all right. I guess the first thing you want to approve the minutes, or do you want to go to the?
No, let's nominate the chairman.
Okay.
I'll nominate Franklin Hahn.
I'll second it. Right. Favor?
Aye.
Any against?
We do the same thing, Franklin, at the township meeting. He's used to it.
Franklin, chair. Yep.
I would nominate Ken Vister for vice chair.
I'll second it. Okay, all in favor? Oops, sorry. Well, yeah, we do need a second.
Pardon?
Yeah.
Ken Vister.
Yeah.
And Wayne,
Wayne second.
Second.
Right.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Did everybody get a chance? Oh, I'm sorry. We should have an introduction. I'm Franklin Hahn. I live right below the old Yucatan store.
Kenneth Anderson, I live out in Wilmington Township. Wayne Runnigan, live out on Fort Ridgely Road, Sheldon Township.
Jim Weezer, Holka Township.
All right. Well, we might as well approve the minutes. Have you read the minutes? Any questions? Motion to approve the minutes, or a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed?
I'll abstain.
Motion carried. Okay, so I guess we've got you want to read the
Public hearing notice.
public hearing.
Okay. Notice of public hearing. Please take notice that an application was received from the following persons for a variance of setback requirements. Scott and Deanna DeWitt, the eastern half of the northwest quarter and part of the southwest quarter of the northeast quarter, section 21, township 102, range 6, Houston County, Minnesota, parcel 0302180000. Caledonia Township. 1, variance to reduce side yard setback requirements for an existing solar array, 14.8 subdivision 1. A hearing on this application will be held at the Houston County Commissioners Room, City of Caledonia, Minnesota at 6 p.m. on Thursday, January 25th, 2024. All persons having an interest in the matter will be given the opportunity to submit comments relative to the granting or denying of said application. Comments should be mailed to the Environmental Services Department, 304 South Marshall Street, Caledonia, Minnesota, 55921, or email to martin.herrick@co.houston.mn.us. Must be received by Tuesday, January 16th, 2024. Comments in regard to the petition received by this date will be part of the public record and will be made available for review by the Board of Adjustment prior to the meeting. Houston County Board of Adjustment by Martin Herrick, zoning administrator.
Are the applicants here? You want to come up and have a seat up here? And explain to us, if you would, why you built a solar panel without a permit. Edron.
Ended up, it was April of 21 is when the solar rate went up. And I guess I didn't realize that a building permit was needed. I had never seen any publication on it. Any other building that we've done, I've always obtained proper permits. Wouldn't the guy that sold you the solar panel tell you
You need a permit for these?
If he did talk to me about it, I guess I don't recall that. Maybe I should have been more proactive and checked into it, but being it's a system on pillars, I figured it was anytime, I figured a building permit would be something to the effect where you're actually putting in footers or taking up ground space. This is all elevated.
So,
They're cemented in.
so my question to you, Martin, is if he moved this, if the board decided to do this, and I'm not saying they will. If they moved it, did he have to move it all to be within the variance? Then would there still be a fine for not having a building permit, or how does this work?
It's pretty open in terms of if he were able to pour an extra pier or two or whatever you need to support, take some of the panels and move those, the 28 feet is about what it amounts to. There would be no requirement for a variance as far as that goes. If that was one of the possibilities. Another possibility is that after the fact permits tend to be triple the fee. I mean, to date, he hasn't paid triple the fee. He didn't know exactly where it was gonna land as far as that goes, so it would be an increase in the building permit, and it would be an increase in the variance. It'd be probably about another $1,600. That would amount to, if it were approved exactly as proposed here. So there's the ability to kind of work within that range. I mean, the other extreme is if it were completely denied, and to get back into compliance would be removal of basically the entire thing. But I will say that, with variances, and this is that Minnesota requirements on this do recognize that solar panels are kind of unique, and that's where I tried to put in the board packet, that they're willing to grant variances in a lot of situations, partly because of solar panels, you need light, you need some locational flexibility to place them. That still does not discuss the timing of the permit part, for sure. But in terms of like the variance consideration, there's certainly a discussion of that, and that's why I included that in the board packet. They actually explicitly know solar panels can be variance.
Well, is there a problem with the sunlight? If it was put someplace else than where it is now?
That's why one of the things I ran Min Solar analysis, and I don't know if another 25 feet, it didn't appear that it potentially would, but in terms of, it's a good site, in terms of, I don't think he's starting to run into the buildings. It's tricky with that because it involves a fair amount of math in the model. As far as that goes, my guess is that it wouldn't make any difference, but it would be the kind of thing that we'd have to just run it again. And it's easy enough. It's not a super, high-tech thing. It's basically, you put the coordinates in and probably.
But we don't have anything in our ordinance that, I'm assuming that the contractor is held reliable for anything.
No.
See, I built a machine shed, and the contractor a few years ago was from Fillmore County, and he wouldn't start until he saw my building permit. And when the tornado cleaned me out 2 years ago, or 3, whatever it was, then before they built, the material was all there. They wanted to see, and that was Houston County, the contractor here. And they wanted to see the building permit. So what do we have to do then? Do we have to change the ordinance in the county so somebody is held responsible for this stuff, or what's the answer?
I mean, one of the things that we run into is we're complaint-based, or we catch them in the process. And in Scott's case, he came in for permit for another building.
Mhm.
So in the process, we're looking at Beacon and I'm seeing this and I'm like, okay, so I'm starting to surf through and all of a sudden it's like, I'm not seeing a permit. And then I'm also looking at the distances, looking for the foot, and I'm not seeing that. So those create a red flag. I mean, that's how we encountered it. But I mean, does that, in terms of, is that a way to get people to do it upfront? Not necessarily. I mean, the fact that there's a triple fee, there's some sting to it, but in terms of, where those are at. What I can also tell you, and it's kind of a side note, is that I did talk with one of the power companies that gives rebates for these systems. They're not happy. They didn't talk about any of the contractors you had, and I won't tell you the names that they told me.
Mhm.
But they basically said they are stopping payments until they're seeing the permits and the building permits and the approvals. So they're holding up issuing their part of a rebate until they see it. Because they had one in another part of Minnesota that they've had over 30 violations from one contract.
Well, for the benefit of our new board member, a lot of what Martin is talking about, a lot of our variances are before we needed a building permit. And built buildings and then, they come in for an additional building to get a building permit, and then it shows that the setback isn't 50 feet from the property line or 65 feet from the center of the public road. That's normally what we run into.
Right, the
Yeah.
property splits or the fact that there were in existence prior to the rule. And one of the nuances that Franklin's getting at is that variances generally have to show a hardship. Why you can't do that? I mean, there's a little bit of a hardship in the sense that it's a solar panel. Solar panels do have kind of unique locations as opposed to other stuff. And that's where that I cited that's where some of that comes
So did you say that if he moved the panels, it'd be $1,600?
from. It would be an extra for the triple fee for it'd be for
Oh,
the variance and the building permit. If we went to the full triple fee, I don't know if you want to call it a fine. I mean, there potentially you could consider fines as well, but the triple fee, which kind of is, that would be 500 that he's already paid. It'd be another 1,000 for triple on that, and then 300 on the other one, triple, that's 600. So there's 1,000, and then another 600, so that'd be 60. That's how the math would work for triple for all applications related to this activity. It would not be for his other building.
No,
That's
no, I
not-
realize
that's not
that.
part of this.
but that would be,
Right, it'd be 16 in addition to what's already been.
so, but that would be cheaper for him than to move them, correct?
Probably very substantial. But I don't.
Because I know when you move them, you have to put down new wire because they're not going to splice them wires. I know
Not
that.
to pick on electricians, but they're not.
Did we get any comments, not to shut the board up, do we get any comments from the public?
We did from one of the neighbors, he asked, how would this impact me? And I basically said, it's a setback from the distance from the property line and they aren't getting into your property as far as that goes. And then he was okay with that. I mean, he's like, okay. He goes, I just kind of want to understand. It was not a written comment, it's just a.
Was there anybody in the public that wants to comment?
Bart, could you read the order?
It would be it would be all structure, it's the general permanent one. Is it only 5? Okay, 29.8. Solar energy systems and solar structures is where it's found. Permit by district would be subdivision 1. Solar energy systems and solar structures shall be a permitted use in all districts except the floodplain district, provided the system is in compliance with the minimum lot requirements and setbacks. Within the floodplain district, solar structure shall be a condition. So it's 29.8 subdivision, 1, which is on page 187.
Who's the neighboring landowner?
Which months, yeah,
Well, just, and that's the one, that's my comment.
he gave me a verbal.
Okay.
Is there any other public, and public, anybody else wants? The board got more questions. I didn't mean to shut you off, but I was just wondering from this public.
If there's a fine, do we have to go with triple? We have to go with 16.
The code, when it says an after the fact permit, it says the fee is triple, and I want to say fee, not fine.
Okay.
And I think I put that in the board back to the citation.
So then the fee is triple of the permit.
The permit related activities, which would be the building permit to ultimately construct on the variance to allow the issuance of building. So the two are both related to that activity. So
No, it's a regular, the building that they're proposing, is that needing a variance?
No.
That it's no problem at all. So the only thing we're dealing with is really the solar panels.
Yes.
And is there any, is it open land, all open land, on the other side of the property line?
there's a picture in your packet that would show the second figure 2. You can see that it's a roadway that is right on the edge.
Okay.
And so it's the field. Is that,
Yeah.
The rest beyond that is open, basically.
Yes. Then on the west side, there's a grain dump that towers over.
Okay, yeah, but as far as infringing on the neighboring property, it really isn't much of a problem.
The house is-
You have room, there's room for trucks and everything between the solar panels and our property line.
Yes,
Rick Munson, it's my property.
okay,
I just want to make a record, I don't have a problem with where the solar system is. The concern I would have is a bridge on my property right on my side.
okay, thank you. Any other comments before we go to the findings? Questions? We can discuss it again after the findings. We'll go to the findings.
number 1, the variance request is in harmony with the intent and purpose of official control. Staff analysis. The Houston County zoning ordinance, section 29.8 subdivision 2 states that solar structures are allowed the same variance request as other structures, and the comprehensive land use plan encourages alternative energy solutions.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Go ahead.
And number 2, there are practical difficulties in complying with the official controls, and the proposed use of the property is reasonable. Economic considerations alone do not constitute practical difficulties. Staff analysis difficulties include maximizing solar exposure in a tight farmyard, acquiring adjoining land, and locating the system close to its use to minimize system loss. Structure's location and use are reasonable.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Go ahead.
Number 3, the variance request is due to special conditions or circumstances unique to the property, not created by the property owner. The property is restricted for maximizing solar gain, and the site is very developed operation.
All in favor, say aye.
I,
Opposed? Go ahead.
Number four, the variance cannot be alleviated by a reasonable method other than a variance, and the minimum variance which would alleviate the practical difficulty is sought. Staff analysis, based on locational restrictions, the variance is the only viable method to bring the location into compliance with the ordinance. The requested variance to the side yard setback requirement is the minimum distance needed.
All in favor, say aye.
I,
Opposed? Go ahead.
Number five, the variance will not alter the essential character of the locality nor substantially impair property values or the public health, safety, or welfare in the vicinity. Staff analysis, granting the variance will not have a negative impact on the criteria listed above.
All in favor, say aye.
I,
Opposed? Take six.
Six, the request is not a use variance and shall not have the effect of allowing any use that is not allowed in the zoning district, permit a lower degree of flood protection than the regulatory flood protection elevation, or permit standards lower than those required by Minnesota state law. Staff analysis, the granting of the variance to the side yard setback requirement in the agricultural protection district does not conflict with any restricted uses. There is no map floodplain on the parcel. There are no known state standards applicable to the request.
All in favor of six, say aye.
I,
Opposed? Carried. Well, now I take a motion to accept the findings.
so,
I'll second that.
Wayne made it. And second. Well, now, what the board has to consider here is if we want to grant the variance, if the board decides to grant the variance, what amount of money, however you want to put it, a fee, I guess, is the correct terminology
That's
for
part
it.
of it. Sure.
So that's what the board has to decide, or we have the option of denying it altogether. I'm not saying we should do that. I'm just saying that's our option. But in the motion, if we're going to grant this, we should have the language in there what the amount of money is. That's all I'm saying.
Very good.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Get a variance and for like on roofs, they put these on all these roofs all over, do they gotta get permits too or not?
That I couldn't answer. Mark maybe can.
Amelia's not doing it.
They do.
Yes.
They get permits? Okay.
Hope that the-
So did you say an older building without a permit, you could or could not put it on without a permit?
I mean, to get it permitted, but if you're talking in terms of whether.
Put it on.
If I understand,
And if it was pre-1967, we wouldn't have it.
I'm guessing you're also talking trust loaded at that point. From what I understand, so.
I've seen on farms where they buy a farm and there's an old home shed, they're gonna fix that home shed all. That building has to be permitted or-
I think the new activity would be permanent
When you
based on the.
So if a
Chad's
build,
asking.
oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If a building was built before a building permit. And it didn't meet the 50-foot setback from the property line. When they came in, as long as we're talking about it, when somebody came in to get a building permit for that roof. Solar panel. Do they then would have to get a variance from the property line, a setback? Or the road?
There's a couple of possibilities. If it was, the building was prior to 1967. they would not- And they potentially could later. We'd have to check the code to see what code was in effect at the time that the structure was placed. Then the new activity, so potentially that could be a variance. But potentially, but then the new structure that's proposed, that would just get a building.
Okay. All right. Anything else before the board decides?
I think the one on solar panels, we should be looking at whether we grant the variance, irregardless of when it was done. If this was just being planned to be built now, we should look at it that way. And if the location is right for solar panels, then we would probably grant that variance. The out put up without a permit shouldn't be backed on variance. Is the way I look at it. It could be considered for the fee. The double or triple fee.
That's what I'm getting at is, oh, what are we gonna put in our motion? If we approve it, what the fee is? That's my question to the board.
I guess my part, as far as the variance is concerned, I guess I'm for the variance, based on, the hardship of the location. And the comments of the neighbor having no problem with, the location. I guess I'm for the variance. I'm open to as far as what the fee amount would be.
And I don't think the additional fee for delay should apply to the new building at all, whatever.
No.
it's on.
No, it wouldn't.
So it would be just for that.
It'd
the
be
solar
for-
panels
It'd be
only
for
part.
the activities related.
Yeah, we're just dealing on the if we grant the variance with
Yeah.
the fee of so much.
It sounds good. Because we gotta have a fee. Because you put that in without a permit. So. I'm not trying to be hard on you or anything, but we gotta set an example too. Cause other people will be doing the same thing. And we're stuck.
Yeah, I don't wanna be hard on you either, but it'd be financially, it'd be easier, cheaper for you if you pay a fine than have to move your solar panel. Which we have the right to deny it. I'm not trying to be hard here. So. Whatever somebody wants to make a motion one way or the other, unless you have more discussion on it.
And it's triple the original application fee, that would be if you would have applied for it back whenever it was.
Right, which would be 300 for the building permit. And then you would
So
also,
you triple that fee is all we're really looking at, $300.
and then if you want to interpret the variance to be considered part of the activity. Which I think we referenced to that. In the. You can think about that a couple of ways. Original application fee, you could say it would be just the building permit. But you could also, the application fee. Could very fairly be considered also variance too, in the sense that it would have been. So.
So the building permit, now so we understand this, right, the building permit is 300, correct? And then the fee could be 900. So, but then he still has to pay for be here tonight for the variance.
Has paid 500.
Yeah.
Which is the state.
I just wanted to make sure that the board understood everything that.
So more toward that. You're at 300, you triple that 300 is it would be nothing about the variance fee. But that is what it was calls for, so
Well, can you waive
waive some.
we can waive the the variance fee then, or?
Well, we can if we want.
I believe you can. I mean, the code says that, but variances are, you're allowed flexibility in what you do.
Or you could- Whatever you wanna do. You think it's $1,000. Just,
I would make a motion that it go with the $900 fee and waive the 500.
Okay, so just triple the building permit.
there's a second to that?
I'll second that.
Is there
And
any?
that's to grant the variance with those fees, right?
Yeah, we should probably read that variance. So that's in the motion.
Okay, just read it. Okay, so I'll throw this out. Variance of 28 foot for the east side property line and side yard setbacks requirements. Section 14.8 subdivision 2. Second condition would be payment of triple the fee for the building permit in the sum of $900 total, with $300 over. That's what I was thinking was, one is the variance of 28 foot. Side yard setback.
Such a document.
The one condition, and then the other one would be to pay triple on the building.
So everybody understands it, then his total fee would be $900, is that correct?
That's my.
Yeah, well, I just wanted
That's
to make,
my understanding.
I just wanted to make it clear, so. Okay, we have the motion and the second.
Yep.
Any more discussion? Roll call vote on that.
Ken Misker, no. Ken Anderson.
Aye.
Franklin Hunt,
Aye.
Flanagan.
Aye.
Jim.
I,
Well, hate to be mean on you, but we have to, like Wayne says, we've got to kind of do some things according to the ordinances too. Any discussion
Yeah,
from the boards?
the next contractor, can we find the contractor who says, where's that permit?
Basically, it's really on the applicant. The owner, unless potentially, it might be interesting if the. I don't know how that worked, if if you had a turnkey where contractor would. Still be a private. I think it's the.
There would have to be something in the ordinance, I would guess, and then the contractor would have to come in and sign something, I suppose, because I suppose it's up to in my case, it was up to the property owner to show the permit to the contractor. That's just my take on it.
Yeah, that's usually the case. Yes.
well, it's kind of like a person buying a piece of property, whether or not it's a buildable lot, and they want to build a house. That's up to the buyer, isn't it?
It's buyer beware.
Right.
Yes,
Well, as a septic contract, we're not allowed to do anything pertaining to septic, so we have a permit.
okay.
Take them up to-
Now, is that just something you do, or is that there's nothing in the ordinance that says that, is there?
Something. I mean, you. Yeah, I mean, that, I believe that's actually in 78, probably.
Right.
Like with the electrician. That's still wiring.
Anything else the board wants to discuss? Motion, we're done. Before we got, you guys got these here, so, didn't you? We'll have to get one of them.
I turned mine in.
Oh, we did, okay. If we haven't got anything else, motion to adjourn,
So move.
second. Thank you, folks. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.